best and better informed of how we can go about doing what we do best, which is radio according to you. Good morning and welcome to the program. Ikamanamgo Trusenz, and we are going to be doing this until 12 o'clock together. To kick off with, Oscar Pistorius, the South African Paralympic champion, who was jailed for 13 years for murdering his girlfriend, has asked the courts to force prison authorities to consider him for parole, his lawyer said on Wednesday. Pistorius, who's now 35 years old, shot Riva Steenkamp, a model, while she was in the bathroom in the early hours of Valentine's Day in 2013. He said he thought a burglar was hiding in his ensuite bathroom when he fired 4 times through the door. He was found guilty of murder and started serving his sentence in 2014. His lawyer, Julian Knight, said that the athlete was seeking an order to force authorities to hold a parole hearing. It's an application to compel the parole board to convene a hearing for his consideration for parole. It doesn't mean he must be placed on parole, but that he must be considered, he said. No hearing date has yet been set, he said, refusing to give further details. To be considered for parole in South Africa, an offender must first serve half their term. In July, the Correctional Services Department confirmed that a meeting had taken place in previous months between Pistorius and Steenkamp's parents. The encounter was part of the Pistorius' rehabilitation, something that is also a requirement to be able to apply for parole. Known worldwide as the Blade Runner because of his carbon fiber prosthetics, Pistorius became the first double amputee to race at the Olympics when he competed at the London 2012 Olympic Games a year before he shot Riva Steenkamp. A self-proclaimed apostle has been given 6 life terms for numerous rapes. This story. Self-announced apostle Hlumelo Dwili has been sentenced to 6 life terms. The High Court in Mbizana has made the decision. On Wednesday, the 31st of August, the 35-year-old was found guilty on 4 counts of rape and 2 of human trafficking. Dwili, who hails from Mthatha, was allegedly on a mission to heal the sick and secure jobs for others. He sold products at road shows in the Eastern Cape and had a base in Mbizana. Spokesperson for the National Prosecuting Authority, Uluxolo Tyali, stated that between July and August 2021, Dwili advertised his business on Inkonjane Community Radio and Facebook. He reportedly used false testimonies to boost his business. According to Tyali, Dwili kept 3 victims captive and repeatedly raped them. The victims, aged between 23 and 25, were all from struggling families and were financially dependent on Dwili. Tyali explained that a victim traveled from Cape Town after responding to Dwili's advert on Facebook. He is said to have promised her a job and purchased a bus ticket. Upon her arrival, he raped her in his motor vehicle at his home in Mthatha before isolating her at his base in Mbizana the following day. In Mbizana, she found 2 more victims who had also been lured to his base with promises to job offers, stated Tyali. In 2020, a 17-year-old girl was sent to Dwili by her parents for healing after she faced seizures. Dwili raped the teenager. She was then reportedly the first victim to fall prey to the self-proclaimed apostle. In the case of a teenager, Dwili was released on bail. Last year, he was arrested after the 3 women he held captive escaped. Dwili maintained his innocence and pled not guilty, stating that the 3 women consented to sexual intercourse. Dwili said the 3 victims were his girlfriends. Anyway, he's been sentenced to 6 life sentences, and this is how his story has unfolded. Sticking to a similar kind of mood in the stories. While neighbors of a woman who was killed along with her son by her fugitive boyfriend live in fear, it has now emerged that the deceased was previously granted protection orders against her would-be killer. Sandra Mabaso's neighbor, who have fled their homes in Pretoria Glen, Soweto, after a double murder case was opened against Lerato Sefekedi, fear that the suspect, who is still on the loose, might come back for them, as they could be called to be potential witnesses once the matter goes to court. Sefekedi is wanted for the murder of his partner Mabaso and their 6-year-old son. The suspect allegedly stabbed Mabaso, then locked her in the bedroom with their son before setting the house on fire. The incident occurred on Sunday morning following a quarrel between the two lovers. Mabaso was confirmed dead at the scene, while the child died in hospital from burn wounds hours later. According to the people close to the matter, Sefekedi is married to another woman in Protea. His wife declined to be interviewed but confirmed to know the suspect and having children with him. Sources close to Sefekedi and Mabaso affairs said that the pair had a toxic relationship marred with violence, according to Mabaso's neighbors, whose identity cannot be mentioned as they fear for their safety. Lerato Sefekedi is a violent man. 2 months ago, he fought with Sandra Mabaso and he tried to burn her house with petrol. Nobody knew that he will repeat the same act and leave 2 people dead. I'm shocked of this man, said one of the neighbors. Not good, and a telling situation when we think about what is happening within our society at the moment. In law enforcement, a suspect believed to be part of a blue light gang in Gauteng was arrested. The suspect was arrested during a multidisciplinary law enforcement operation. Members of the Road Traffic Management Corporation's National Anti-Corruption Unit, a Kuruleni Metro Police Department, Gauteng Highway Patrol, and Johannesburg Metro Department worked together for the arrest. The Blue Light Gang has been terrorizing motorists on Gauteng's freeways. The arrests come after a number of complaints were made about hijackings in the provincial and national roads in the province. Arrive Alive stated that the gang tends to drive vehicles with blue lights. They also wear clothes that look similar to police uniforms. Intelligence was gathered following the hijacking of a Toyota Hilux GD6 on the N12 near Delmas. The victim was not only taken hostage by the suspect, but his bank cards were used to make withdrawals of large sums of money. Expensive alcoholic beverages were also purchased. Authorities activated the undercover detective machinery in Katlehong, Thokoza and Vosloorus after video footage of the suspects purchasing alcohol circulated. The footage showed a clear photo of the suspect. The suspect who was arrested was spotted in Vosloorus. Authorities followed him to his house where he was caught and taken in for questioning. The suspect confessed that he was part of the N12 hijacking. Glad that there is a way forward as far as somebody getting taken on for the responsibility of terrorizing the neighborhood Ekhlale. The Police and Prison Civil Rights Union says it has had it with the Correctional Services Department. It says the department is refusing to address the issues affecting workers. These include current safety policies, shift work, and the need to hire more people to ease the pressure at overcrowded facilities. Meanwhile, Justice Ronald Lamola agrees that the concerns are valid and says that the department will work with the union to address them. So the union will definitely then be having their voice heard sooner than later regarding what they decided and what they need to see happen for the better conditions, working conditions, that is, of our legal enforcement. And we'd love to see everybody in a situation where they prosper. A male police sergeant was shifted from Parliament to a police station after hitting a woman sergeant in the precinct. Daily Maverick has been reliably informed it's just one inside incident since the SAPS invoked security and national key point status to cordon off the national legislature. The gender-based violence incident involving 2 sergeants whose names are known was at least in part caught on camera, according to the parliamentary grapevine. The police have confirmed an internal departmental investigation is underway, while an assault case has also been registered. The physical altercation between the 2 parliament-based sergeants followed a mid-June security breach when a so-called trespasser followed a SAPS police officer across the precinct from the gate near the Izigo Slave Lodge Museum all the way to the presidential Danehays offices through a side door that's left open. One person was eventually arrested outside the precinct. It has been independently confirmed by 2 insiders. Both incidents and others include including police caught napping on duty or focused on their phones, have unfolded against the police's securitization of the parliamentary precinct, in which the rolls of razor wire were cable tied to the arch for arch, and a monument honoring the late Archbishop Emeritus Desmond Tutu. It is 25 minutes now before 10 a.m. As we continue, COPE Deputy President Willie Madisha has apologized for the fist fight that broke out at the party's conference in Boksburg. A COPE conference meant to address the party's divisions descended into chaos on Wednesday after the three men say that they are the party leaders stormed in on the session. Physical altercations ensued as the warring factions suspended each other at the party president Musiwa Lekota this week over corruption allegations. Madisha said one must apologize to the members of COPE and people of South Africa. It was not supposed to be like that. Lekota insists he is still the elected leader of the Congress of the People. Recently retired artist and businessman Zakhele Madida, also known as Zakes Bantwini, has slammed the South African Music Awards, saying judges have converted the awards to a promotional show and money-making exercise. The 28th installment of the awards were held at the Sun City Super Bowl on Sunday, 28th August, and faced heavy criticism for a number of things. Zakes Bantwini's hit Osama won the Best Collaboration and Highest Airplay awards. For over 2 decades, awards have been the highest accolade that could be bestowed on a South African artist and have represented a standard of creative excellence that marked the height of success to those in the creative sector. However, the SAMAs have devalued the honor and prestige which the awards once stood for. Madida said there is no integrity in the way at which the awards are being produced. The planning, the awarding of artists in an extraordinary or extending themselves in a basic courtesy to respect to the artists. Furthermore, Bantwini said regrettably this year happens to be the lowest point of these awards, and he received 2 awards with a heavy heart. The Osama hitmaker also touched on the lack of attendance by artists nominated as one sign of which he thanks the SAMA organizers and stakeholders. The results of this year are judging processes being unjust, corrupt, myopic thinking, and lack of vision. Our coveted award show depicts a looted SOE and reeks of nepotism and traces of bureaucracy. This year we witnessed a disgraceful act which robbed us of national pride. These awards have become a slap in the face of so many. I am unable to find the words to describe my shock and disappointment. Bantwini continued to say South African musicians are making a global impact. We have to fight to be globally competitive and to take the position that supports longevity. If we celebrate mediocrity, we will only have ourselves to blame. Let's all agree that SAMA judges have failed us both as artists and as musicians and fans. It's time to build our industry again, he added. The Muso also called on the SABC radio station Khosi FM to do better this year on the crossover song. The station has also been heavily criticized for the way in which the crossover song is chosen. Amapiano artists DJ Maphorisa and Lady Lou also called out SAMAs. Lady Do accused the awards of being gate kept, while Maphorisa accused the awards of cheating the numbers. In tweets that have since been deleted, Makadzi also accused the awards show of sabotaging her performance. Makadzi claimed she rehearsed for a 5-minute performance. However, it was reduced to a minute on the actual night and was marred by technical glitches. Aibo. Finally, and further afield in South Africa, well, in Africa as an entire continent, that is, we look at what's happening in Kenya. After 7 successful series, producer, excuse me for 1 second, yeah, I've actually clicked on one of the stories that is now showing me flames because it keeps popping up to something else when I click on it. Kenya's Supreme Court began arguments Wednesday in challenges of the presidential election. The court on Tuesday had a pre-trial where all parties confirmed their affidavit submissions. Earlier on, the court had ordered a vote recount in 15 polling stations, which are going to the court had thrown out 2 other petitions on a basis of lacking a mandate. On Wednesday, lawyers representing on the first petition, Raila Odinga, took to the floor to dislodge the election of William Ruto and the 5th president. Odinga is among those challenging the results and alleging a range of problems with the election process. Deputy President William Ruto was declared the winner earlier this month with just over 50% of the votes. The courts must rule on all challenges by the end of the Monday that we are going into. With that, we have come to the end of our moment in current affairs, and we will continue to do radio according to you. Closer to the time, we'll also unpack for you who's joining us. We'll be joined by the ladies of COSAFA later on in the program, and we are going to be talking the launch of the COSAFA women's activities happening in Gqeberha, with whom we will be having a great discussion and trying to get ourselves in the right space to empower and support what is happening on that side. Until then, let's get some more music. This is Keith and Gacy Radio. My name is Trusenz, and thank you for joining us. You could have been anywhere, but this is where you've chosen to be.